Hi, Sandeep, the participation is very less.
Abhilash, they will come at 10:30 maybe. Okay, we can start
10:50.
now. Then it's like
Okay,
that.
anyway,
We'll start.
okay, okay.
It's now it's 23, no? That's
Yeah, no, very few are joined, only 8.
uh, so
Okay,
all
anyway,
participants, please join that quiz. Hello.
this is started actually. Yeah, SS got the maximum score here. Then Shabna and Sherlock Holmes 0. Then move on to the next quiz. How many transactions could the Ethereum protocol process per second? Yes, so the 4 right answers. Shabna got the maximum score right now. And move on to the next. Third one. What prefix or Ethereum address is composed of? Oh, good one. Shabna again. And move on to the next. What's Ethereum's block time? Only 2 right answers. And Shabna is in the leader score. So what algorithm does Ethereum use for its proof of work? Only 3 right answers and 4 wrong answers. Shabna and SS. 6 one. What is the smallest denomination of Ethereum units? Yeah, 5 right answers. SS move first. That's a nice one. Moving on to the next. What is gas in Ethereum? Got 3 right answers. Way of pricing transaction based on computational complexity. And Shabna move back to first position again. What is Ghost protocol? I hope we discussed yesterday. Yeah, better. 5 right answers and 3 wrong answers. 1, 3, 4 wrong answers. Shabna move Go to first and second VAI. 9th question. What is Web3 JSS? Five right answers. Shobna, and move on to the next. Ropsten, Rigby, and Coban are the examples of. Great. You got 6 right answers. Yes. This competition is happening between these 3 guys. Go Ethereum and parity of Ethereum clients. True or false? Six right answers. No, yeah, yes, yes. 12. What is used to sign transaction? Yeah, 6 right answers. Shabna, SS, and Sam. It's only 2 right answers. 14. Four right answers. Shabna, SS, and Sam. The last question. Nice, 4 right answers. Third position, Sam. And the second position, SS. First position, who is that? Shabna. Hello, Sandeep. Am I audible, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So, how was this quiz? Is that good for you, or having some problem? Okay. Yesterday we stopped here in the solidity as a modifier functions. I hope my screen is visible to all. My screen is visible, right? Anyone? My screen is visible and it is readable for you.
Yes.
Yeah. So yesterday we written a modifier. So take your smart contract remix IDE and append this code with yesterday's code. Actually, there's a modifier I have written and a constructor also. And before creating the constructor, the business problem is who is accessing this set employee function. So the business solution saying that an administrator or the owner who deploy the contract can access this function. The rest of these addresses who is accessing this smart contract cannot do this. So what we have written is we just set a variable here, address of an owner, and then address. This is a variable and this is the data type address, and declare as a visibility for just public. And then I created a constructor. It's a constructor. Okay, so this constructor visibility is public, and inside this constructor I have written owner equal to message.sender. This is a built-in mechanism or built-in function inside the Solidity. Message.sender, who is initiating the smart contract. So the constructor, why constructor we are using? I hope all you familiar with the constructors in programming languages. So when we define a constructor in any of your code, any of your programming, this constructor will execute first, right? And this will receive this value owner equal to message.sender. Means here this address, the system will identify this. If I am using this account for deploying this contract, then system will store this particular address here. This particular address here, not here. Okay, then we define a modifier. Modifier keyword is modifier, and just create a name only owner. Then this require is a keyword available in Solidity. Then inside that this message.sender equal to owner. So then we are just appending this only owner with this function. At the end of this function just return only owner. Only this account owner can trigger this function. That is what modifier is working. Is that clear? Anyone? Please respond. Is this concept is clear, or please try in your remix ID. Sandeep, is this concept is clear?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes. We discussed this,
please,
I think.
Yeah, please try to run in your remix ID. Is there any error is coming? So here I am trying to run this code. So what I have done is I have my own private network. So I'm trying to deploying it. It will take time because authentication needed.
Can you just share that code?
Yeah, definitely. But I'm trying to open the chat window. I don't know why it is not opening.
You click on participants.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So entire code is needed, or just this map constructor and modifier? Only this is needed, right? I have shared the code in the chat. So I'm trying to deploy the contract after unlocking my account. The mining is happening there. I hope this is working. Okay, either we don't want to waste our time. VM is here. Just deploy the contract. I just deploy the contract with this address, not this one, this address. So I try to access the first function set employee with that initial address 123 their name and designation system engineer and transact. This is working right with this address. So I am going to change the address to the second address which is available in the JavaScript virtual machine, and trying to do the same activity with the second address. I got an error, right? Have you seen this error in your Remix ID while changing the account address? Not this. So anyone having problem while compiling your contract or deploying the contract?
After that require, what is that? Underscore semicolon, is that?
Underscore semicolon. This is actually the breaking that condition. Otherwise, this will be a looping. Inside this, after this modify, the code cannot understand that, okay, this should be shifted to here. Underscore semicolon. Somebody require the entire code. Entire code also share. So is that working for you? So guys, have you got the output?
No, what is it? Honor.
Honor. So I am just defining an address on top of here. Just a variable honor.
Address.
Yeah, on top. So I am actually holding the particular address in this variable. So address is the data type and this is the variable. Please let me know once you got the output.
So we have to run that set employee function.
Yeah, you have to run the set employee function with your initial address first. Then you have to change that address to any address which is available here. Then try to access the set employee function again.
So while deploying, we have to select the JavaScript.
Yeah,
And the,
JavaScript VM or your Web3 provider or your local yesterday's Ethereum private network is running, then you can connect with that. Because for the easy purpose, I just run this JavaScript VM.
then we have to select that first account.
No, initially by default, it will choose the first account. And after deploying and you are triggering the set employee function using that first account, then you have to change it to any of the address here, not the first one.
So deployment over. After that,
Deployment over, then you just expand it and trigger this function first, set employee.
transact to employee. Error. Some error is there. Error encoding arguments.
Yeah, you change the address, right?
No, I have not changed. I have to change that.
So what I have done here, I just try to demonstrate again. So this is the code. Okay. Sandeep or everyone, please look here. And I try to deploy it. And while deploying, this from address is this. This is the from address actually. From address means what I am getting here. This is the from address. So currently this contract is deployed by this address, this externally owned address. So only this address person can access this function. Okay. So I expand it. Currently, this is the same person who is accessing the set employee. And I'm passing 12345 as an employee ID, and the name is Ablash, and designation is system engineer, and transact. So this is working here. You can see with the same address person. Or if I am going to change the address to another, then I'm trying to transact, I'm getting an error, right? I'm changing this person to another because some other person with some other externally owned account come to access the smart contract set employee function, but he cannot access it. Only the person who having the first account, or we have set in the constructor with the owner address, can access the set employee function here. So this is a kind of privilege setting in the smart contract. Sandeep, is that clear for you? Or anyone who is having doubt, please let me know. Clear. Okay. I hope you got the output. Everybody got the output. Okay. Anyway, I'm moving on to a new presentation. I hope my screen is visible. Screen is visible for you, presentation?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is the life cycle of an Ethereum transaction actually. So how a transaction is moving in a Ethereum network and how it is executing, how it is initiating, and how that initiated transaction is converted to a raw transaction object on serialization concept, then how it is moving to a mining pool, and how this verified transaction is globally distributed. That is this slide is all about. So this is just see this. This is a smart contract function. Okay, this is a function. Function name is vote for candidate. We are passing a byte 32 of candidate name, and the visibility of this code is public. Function is public, and require valid candidate of candidate. Require means what? We having some modifiers, right? Then vote received of candidate. We are incrementing the vote here. So this function increment the vote count of a specified candidate. This is equivalent to casting a vote. Is that clear? Just a function inside a smart contract. Okay, I hope it is clear. Then I am moving. So after we have to write this smart contract function, uh, the front end we have a form. Just imagine we have a form. I just use the notation again. This is a front end page. Just imagine this is a front end page, and we have a form with the candidate's name A and B and C. These are the candidates, and you are choosing this candidate, and this is comprised of HTML, right? HTML and CSS for beautification, and in the back end there is a JavaScript code will be the JavaScript code will be the this will access, or this will process the value. This will receive the value from this field, and we are getting a value which is A, and we will connect or trigger this value by using web3.js. Yesterday I discussed about this library web3.js, and this web3.js will trigger our smart contract. Yes, how this web3.js is triggering the smart contract, what transaction is happening here, that is actually showing here. Voting is a contract name, and deployed dot then function, there's a function we are defining, and function with an instance name is instance, and instance that particular instance of this voting contract. The initially what I have shown, the voting contract function, this in the first slide I shown the voting contract function, vote for candidate. I have created an instance for that particular contract, and that instance dot vote for candidate function in the previous code. I am passing the candidate name, that by 32 argument of that function. I am passing as a nick as a name, and the gas required for the transaction to execute this one, and the from which is the address is web3.eth.account0. Now you understood web3.eth.account0. So here I am just here I am, what I am doing is I just run the test network, test RPC or Ganache CLI. So I am getting the first address for the from the then function executing. I'm just the value and the amount of gas and which address. Okay. So let's take the following contract call as an example and traverse through the entire flow or how this function call and transaction is executed. At a high level, it's a voting contract where you initialize a few candidates contesting in an election and anyone can vote for them. The vote will be recorded on the blockchain. Okay, just erasing all the things. Otherwise, this will. Okay, this time. So the flow, there is a contract called voting which has already been deployed on the blockchain. We instantiate that the contract and execute a method called vote for candidate. This is a function which is we are creating in the smart contract and pass in the candidate name, gas limit of this transaction and the account that execute the transaction. That is shown here. The gas limit and which address we are using. The account that executes the transaction. This function used to vote for a candidate and the vote is recorded on the blockchain. So now we will try to deconstruct this call and understand everything that happened when you execute this JavaScript function. So first step is what your web Ethereum client is doing is Web3.js library is used to build the raw transaction object. First, the entire transaction which you have trying to send by using this JavaScript code will convert it to raw transaction object. Guys, is that clear or should I want to repeat it? Anyone?
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, where we are writing that JavaScript code, smart contract that is
No,
deployed in the
smart contract is deployed in the network actually, in the blockchain
yes.
network. So
Okay.
that smart contract having yesterday what we have created as a private network, right?
Yes.
You remember?
Yes.
So that
Yes, sir.
private network we connected with the Remix ID to deploy our contract.
Yes.
Okay. So
Okay.
though that deployment happen actually inside our private network. Remix ID is just a code editor, and
Okay.
that code editor deploying our contract into your private network.
Okay.
So you
Okay.
have the contract ABI and the bytecode and the contract deployed addresses.
Okay.
Okay. So
Okay.
that network and the HTML CSS will be in your source code, just a folder. Inside that you will keep all these things inside your private network folder.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
So
Fine.
it is automatically created whenever a contract is deployed.
Yeah, but whenever a contract is compiled, being that time you will get two things: application binary interface and a bytecode.
Okay.
And when you're deploying, you will get a contract deployed address.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
So you have written this JavaScript code in your JavaScript file. This one, this code will be in your JavaScript file, and that particular function how executing in a blockchain network is the
Sir,
Web3.
that
Yeah,
is what I'm asking. That JavaScript code that we have to write.
yeah, you have to write. You have to write.
Okay.
That I will explain in the coming lecture. We will creating a DApp with the JavaScript and HTML and
Okay.
Web3.js. Don't
Okay,
worry.
sir.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
So that particular JavaScript code will be converted to a raw transaction object. So just see here. Some chat is coming. Vaishali, please respond. I can't understand your question.
Sir, below that data colon is there is a
Yeah.
hash key written.
This step one you are saying this slide.
This
This
below
data.
Web3 dot
This one, the last line.
last line.
Yeah, that I will explain. Okay. Okay, that I will explain. Just wait. Yeah, in this that particular function call in the JavaScript will convert it to a raw transaction object. So the transaction count is a variable equal to web3.eth.get transaction count. So get transaction count of account of 0 and externally on account is none, right? Am I correct? This transaction count, web3.0 get transaction count of your 0th account. You will get the externally owned accounts nonce value. Maybe you initiated the 10 transaction before, and a new transaction is coming, means which is 11th one, so the nonce will be 11. Okay, the nonce value you are getting from this transaction count, and the gas price, gas limit you already know, to address, from and to the recipient address, and the value. If there is any value, means any either you are sending, but in this contract we are not sending any either. Instead of that, we are sending a candidate name, right? Candidate name as Nick. So she asked a question, how this data payload is created. Vaishali is asked a question about how this data payload is created. So that I will explain. Just a moment. Just want to erase all this. So the first, take the function signature from the ABI. This vote for candidate is a function, right? And you are passing a byte 32. So this is a function signature of your particular method you defined in a smart contract. Is this visible, right? So just do this activity in your console. Vote for candidate of byte 32. That we can do just sorry. Okay. web3.sha3 of vote for candidate, right? Vote for is this visible for you, Sandeep, or anyone? Is this visible? Visible or not?
Yes, sir.
Visible.
Visible.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, the web3.sha3. SHA3 is a hashing algorithm, SHA3, with of vote for candidate, right? Vote for candidate of you are passing byte 32. Byte 32 as a data type. This value you are getting. Just a moment. The vote for candidate of byte 32. Some small changes. Okay, so small error. Just hold on. web3.sha3 of vote for candidate of bytes 32. So have you seen this output here? This output. This is the output I am getting. Have you seen this? So what I have done is this vote for candidate is the function of the data type. This is the function signature this function signature Ethereum will pass to a SHA-3 algorithm. This is the hashing algorithm of your function signature. This will return this big number hash value, and you will take the first 4 bytes. First 4 byte means 2, 4, 6, 8 up to 67. You will take this value. Okay, CC up to 267. Is that visible, Sandeep?
Yes.
Yeah. So inside that, what argument we are passing? Nick, right? The candidate name we are passing as Nick. So we will convert the Nick to a byte32 converter. And online you can just try the byte32 converter and type the value as Nick, and you will get the response like this. Okay. So we are appending this plus concatenating this plus this byte32 of the candidate name value. Combine these to get the data payload. Just imagine, keep in your mind CC9A B267. CC9A B2. They are taking this value and plus appending the remaining byte32 value with that. Okay. 5261 up 000. Correct? You got it, guys? How this data payload is creating? Anyone please respond.
Sir, that initial address that we get is when we run Web3 SHA-3 vote for candidate byte 32. That is, which is that address?
Which
Is
one?
that
This one.
this? Yeah. Yes, sir.
But this is not the address actually. The SHA-3 is a hashing algorithm. Okay. What
Okay.
your Ethereum client is doing is when you're triggering a function inside your JavaScript, it will
Okay.
catch that function signature. So
Okay.
in Solidity, you return a function. So we
Okay,
will get a
from-
function. Yeah. Not from actually, just a function signature of your Solidity contract. Okay. This is a
vote for
function
candidates already.
Yeah, this is a vote for candidate is a function inside your contract.
Okay.
And you are passing argument data type as byte32. Okay. The first Ethereum will do that, convert to a SHA algorithm. It will pass it through a SHA-3 hashing algorithm, and you are getting this output. And
Okay.
you take first four bytes of this code, this output hash, and append with this byte32. You are passing argument as Nick, N-I-C-K.
Okay.
Okay. Then you are
Okay.
taking the byte32 of Nick and concatenate it together.
Okay.
So then you are getting this data.
Okay. So that is the signature of the function call then.
Yeah, this
For a
is the function signature, your
Function signature.
Solidity function signature.
Okay. Okay, sir.
This is actually happening behind it. You are not aware about that while you are creating a DApps. But you just want to understand in your mind that, okay, this is what is happening in the backend. That is why I just want to explain this.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So I want to erase this again. So, okay, after that, step 2, sign the transaction. You create a raw transaction object. Okay. You use web3.e.account0 to execute the transaction. Okay. Then Ethereum network need to know that you actually own that account to make sure someone else doesn't execute this transaction on your behalf. So how you are going to sign your transaction? So normally we will use our private key to sign the transaction, right? So should I want to explain how digital signature is happening and what is public key and private key? Should I want to explain, guys?
Not needed, sir.
So you guys already know that. So what I am doing is constant private key is equal to buffer from, you got your private key. You already know your private key if you are running your test network. so that I can show here that exiting from this slide is difficult. Yes. So just Ganache CLI. If I am running a test network here, okay, this is already listening. Ganache CLI minus P 8549. Hope this will work. Yep. Okay, here you can see some of the addresses listed here. So if we are calling web3.eth.account0 means this initial address will be taken. Okay, the corresponding private key of your first address is this. Okay, so that particular private key is using here for signing your transaction. So this is a corresponding private key of that particular first address, and we already get the raw transaction from here. This variable raw transaction is equal to nonce. This raw transaction variable we are passing here. Transaction Ethereum transaction of raw transaction to sign with our private key, then constant serializing the entire transaction. Constant serialization equal to this transaction means raw transaction into dot serialize. So the entire raw transaction will be in a serialized way to propagate in the network. Transaction is then third step is transaction is validated locally. So still your transaction is not in the network, means not propagated to the entire blockchain network. Still it is in your local Ethereum client. Okay, the transaction is validated locally means you have installed your Ethereum client in your machine. So all these functionality what we have done till this step 3, everything will be doing inside your local Ethereum client. The signed transaction submitted to a local Ethereum node. Local Ethereum node will then validate the signed transaction to make sure that it was really signed by this account address. So when you are trying to sign a transaction, this Ethereum local client, the get, will ask you to unlock your password, unlock your account with your passphrase. Then only you can sign a transaction. Okay. And moving on to the next slide. Step 4, transaction is broadcasted to the network. After doing all this activity, first one is we are getting a raw transaction, right? Raw transaction object we are getting. Raw transaction object we are getting. Then second one, what we are doing, signing a transaction. Third one is verifying, or if not broadcast. Third one is serializing your transaction, signing and serialize. Then after serializing your transaction, this will move to the broadcasting stage. Broadcasting means all these steps are inside your local get, means inside your laptop or inside your desktop PC where you install your Ethereum client. And after all this validation means your local Ethereum client will check you are the right owner to sign this transaction by using your private key. Okay, so then only this entire transaction will be broadcasted to the network. Okay, so the signed transaction is broadcasted to your get parity node to its peer, who in turn to broadcast to their peers, and so on. Means broadcasting means this is your get node and this will send the nearest node. Another, maybe this is a get or a parity node. From here this will move to another node. Likewise this is propagated. Okay, gossip to gossip protocol. Likewise this will propagate it from here to here, here to here. Likewise all this network participants got this transaction. I hope you guys can follow. So any doubt, please ask. Anyone? Any doubt? Anybody having doubt, please? Guys? No doubt? So this transaction, so while broadcasting, not all node will accept your transaction. Some of these nodes might have setting to accept only transaction with a certain minimum gas price. If you have set a gas price lower than that limit, that node will just ignore your transaction. So after broadcasting to the network, all this transaction will come to this transaction pool. Okay, these are the transaction listed here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 transactions are listed here with the corresponding gas price. Okay, this is arranged in the highest gas price in the top and the lowest coming in the down. Okay, the miner who will definitely choose the highest gas price because he will get the more reward. Then only he will get the more reward. So all the small transaction will kept in the will be inside the mining pool for a long time. Then only some miners will choose all these transactions. Okay, that is the one of the major problem. So Ethereum network has a mix of miners nodes and non-miners nodes. As you probably know, the miners are the one who do the jobs of including your transaction in the block. So miners mean a transaction pool or your transaction get added to before they started evaluating it. So step 6, miner node find a valid block and broadcast it to the network. After validating the block, the miner eventually pick our transaction from the mining pool what we have discussed in the previous slide, include the block along with other transaction. The miner can only pick so many transactions to include the block because Ethereum has set a block gas limit. Okay, so inside a block we having a limit. So if the miner is setting a block, this is a block 1, this is another block 2. Hello, block 1 and block 2. Okay, but Ethereum set a maximum gas. So this is the G1 is the maximum gas of this entire block. Okay, so if this B1 block gas is greater than this G1, then it will not consider as a valid block. So Ethereum set a maximum gas limit for some of the gas limit of the transaction cannot be exceeded the block gas limit. This is what I explained here. I hope you understood. Yes.
So, sir,
Yeah.
there is a chance for starvation, right?
Starvation in the sense?
Means my block may not be included, pushed by the miner.
Yeah. So that is a problem.
So, is there any priority? It is going up? Any chances? No.
If you are spending very small amount of gases, miner may not take your transaction. So it can be, there's a time interval, it can be reverted back to you.
I see. Okay.
So if it is exceeding a time limit of certain hours or certain days, so if that transaction is not executed properly, then Ethereum will be reverted back.
So its priority won't be going up.
Yes. So if you are providing best gas price, the miners will choose that one only. I hope I answer your question.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Yeah. So this is actually happening in the backend of an Ethereum network. Okay, the step 6, miner node find a valid block and broadcast it to the network. This I already discussed. Once the miners select the transaction to include the block, the transactions are validated and included in the pending block and the proof of work begins. One of the miner node eventually find a valid block by solving the proof of work puzzle. Just like the raw transaction was broadcasted by your local node, which was received by all other nodes, the miner node broadcasts this valid block to other nodes. So once the miner find out the proof of work consensus algorithm solution, then that particular miner will broadcast the solution to the entire node which is available in the blockchain network, and they will verify that. So eventually 7 local node receive the syncing the blockchain. So eventually your local node will receive this new block. Once a miner find out the solution of a particular block proof of work solution, then that particular miner will broadcast the entire block to the all nodes which is associated to the network, and all node will be in a syncing manner. Okay, then sync its local copy of the blockchain. Upon receiving this new block, the local nodes execute all the transaction inside in the block. So up to here, these are the 7 steps how a transaction is executing inside a blockchain network. Any doubt, please ask. Sandeep, anyone?
Sir, what does that last statement means? Upon receiving the new block, the local node execute all the transactions in the block. So what is the need of executing the transactions again in the local node?
No, that is not executing the transaction, because your local node is also part of this block, and you are getting all the transaction, all the block which is mined by a miner, and your local node is also in a syncing position, right? If 10 nodes in a network, they are having 10 blocks of transaction, and your node is not having that particular 10 block of transaction, then you are not in a syncing position, and you cannot execute all other transactions inside a block if you are a mining node or the main node in the network. So you should have all the copies in your local node if you are executing your next transaction. I hope I answered.
Okay, sir.
Yes. So any other doubt? Anyone? Any doubt, please?
So who will be the miners? Nodes will be there. How then a node become a miner?
So if you want to become a miner, you need a high specification hardware systems. So in the normal, if you are participating as a normal miner means you have only a laptop, you have only a normal desktop without any GPU machine setups, then you cannot be a successful miner in the network, right? So because you are competing with the other miners having a big mining powers, and they will grab all the transaction, because if they have a big mining power, they will validate multiple blocks in a very few seconds. But if you have a very small system with a very small specification, but then you cannot become a miner while competing with others.
So what
So
about private
anytime,
network? Private network. I'm creating my own network. Then who will be the miners?
so if while creating a private network, just imagine in your classrooms or whatever it is, you created a private network. Okay, so you are the person who is the admin of this network. So you are creating this private network, you are creating your own Genesis network, and you set up a private network inside a classroom, and your students are accessing that network. But those students' nodes are not always available in the network, right? So if students are using a mobile application, you develop a mobile application on top of your private network, and students are just using a mobile application of your D app, and they are not as a minors, right? They are simply coming when you are uploading an assignment solution or the exams, you are charting an exam, then only they are participating in the network, and they are uh, writing the exams, and they are submitting, and they are leaving. Okay, they are exiting from the network. But you want to set up some nodes, some nodes as some nodes for as a miners, and we will write a script for that, for automatically mining. Those particular nodes are boot nodes in Ethereum network. Also in the main Ethereum network, Sandeep, in the main Ethereum network, this node is, some of these nodes are created by the Ethereum itself as a boot node. Those boot nodes are always active in the Ethereum network, and they are actually the big miners of that particular network. Or if some other miners, the normal other private miners or the private person who is joining the network and mining, always is not possible. They will leave the network, and whenever they have time they will come back, right? But this network should persist in a long running way. So the Ethereum itself, they create some boot nodes to activate this mining process. So likewise, in your private network also, you want to create some of the nodes as the miners. You have to create a node with a good configuration and set it as a miner. Then all your transaction happening inside that particular network will be mined by that particular mining machine or the mining node. I hope I answered.
Okay.
Sir, yesterday you have shown a command, right? Add peer to add a new node to the network.
Yeah.
So when we do that command, does that become a miner, or do we need to run any extra code to make it
While
a
you are
miner?
doing add admin.add peer, I hope that is a command you are saying.
Yes, sir.
While you are doing that admin.add peer, it is actually adding another node to your network.
Yes.
Manually
Then
you are adding. Just imagine you created your own private network. You are the admin, and you want to add other your students as a node inside your network. Then you want to know their enode address, and you copy that enode address manually, and you will add admin.add of that particular enode address. Then automatically that student node will be added to your network.
oh, okay. Then that node. So when we use that add peer command, a new node is created. Okay. So
Then
that
a new node you are actually adding into your network.
Okay, then can that new node can act as a miner?
Definitely, they can also act as a miner.
By default, it is added as a miner, right?
No, not by default. They can, if they are doing miner dot start that particular action, then
Okay.
only they will become a miner. Otherwise, they don't have any balance. They just simply be in your network.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
And one more doubt is
Okay.
there. So, is there any tool for estimating the gas limit? So, if you, in order to deploy a smart contract, we have to estimate the gas limit, right?
Yeah,
So,
some either scan.io is some of the website the people are following to understand what is the current gas limit of the transaction it is required.
okay.
And in your private network, you don't want to worry about this gas limit and all, because there is no competition, right? Only you 10 people are using that network, and there is miner don't getting a big reward. That reward is not a value in the normal transaction, right? Those
Yes.
either you are getting inside a private network is not valid outside your network. So that is not a big deal. So while you are creating a Genesis block, there is a difficulty attribute, right, inside the genesis.json file.
Yes.
Have you seen that? So just to reduce that Genesis difficulty attribute value, then your transaction will execute it faster, and there is a very small gas is required.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Okay. So any other
Yes.
doubt? Anyone? If no doubt, we can move to the next session. Andev, can I move to the next session?
Yeah, we will break at 11.
Break at 11. Okay, so one thing you can do in meantime is that just install Truffle in your machine. Truffle is a framework. Actually, I will show that. Okay. Truffle framework. Just type in Google Truffle framework. So Truffle is a framework for deploying and developing a smart D apps in Ethereum. So you don't want to use Remix ID or something for deploying your smart contract if you are using Truffle framework. So try to follow this command. in Ubuntu machine. Those who having Ubuntu machine, try to follow this. npm install -g truffle. Just put the sudo if you sudo permission also. So I put it in the chat window. I haven't got, okay. Sudo npm install -g truffle. So just make sure that you are having Node.js installed, and it should be greater than the legacy version. Your node version, just check your node version by the command node -v, and check another command npm -v node package manager also. These are the two commands, please check, and check whether the node version is greater than 0.4.6. Okay. And for the Windows, who is using Windows, just follow this command truffle. Windows, oh sorry. So those who are using Windows machine, please follow these commands. I will put it in the chat. So those who are using Windows also, they should also make sure that your inside your machine Node.js is available. So this is for the Windows. I share the command in chat. Sandeep, is that getting for everyone? I think.
Yes. So Windows,
please,
for Windows, what to do?
Yeah, I shared the command, the last message. There's npm install -g, npm install -g production Windows build tool. There's a 4 command I shared in the chat, the last chat. Those who are installing Truffle inside your Windows machine, just follow that. And those who are trying to install Truffle in Ubuntu or Linux machine, just use the sudo npm install -g truffle. I hope this is also visible. This is visible, right?
Yes, yes.
So that command also I shared. Oh, truffle. Yeah. Okay. After successfully installing Truffle, you can see that just write Truffle inside your console. For Windows, those who are using installation process, just use PowerShell and run it as an administrator. In Ubuntu, you can run normally sudo permission, using your sudo permission in your terminal. So while running just Truffle inside your terminal, you will get this response. Then create a folder mkdir. So have you installed this? Or I will show some demo mkdir truffle demo. So inside I am moving into the truffle folder, truffle demo folder. Truffle demo folder. Inside that I am writing a command truffle init. Truffle init is the command. So after that, just ls inside your, you can see a folder structures. A source folder structure having three folder contract, migration, test, and a configuration file called truffle config.js. I hope this is visible. Is this visible for you?
Yes.
Okay, just install the truffle, and after that I am initializing the truffle command. Then I am getting 3 folders: contract, migration test, and truffle config.js. So we have our contract right in our remix IDE, and copying our contract. Okay, which contract you want to compile? A normal small contract I'm going to compile. So this is a very small contract. So I'm taking okay. So moving into the contract folder. Inside the contract folder, I am writing and I'm pasting the contract here. So see, sorry, it's not required. Okay, inside this, now I saved a new contract, our new contract, and there's a migration.sy. This is a base contract which is a very important contract which is used by Truffle for migrating our custom contract inside the blockchain network. So please don't delete this contract inside the contract folder. So after that, we have to move to this migration folder. Sorry. So inside this migration folder, you can see one_initial migration.js, and inside that you want to create another new file called to_deploy contract.js folder. So have you installed this, Sandeep? Anyone? Hello. Hello. So guys, are you installing the software?
Yeah, we are installing.
Yeah, please install it, then we can continue after that.
I think we will break here and we will come back at 11:30. Then after that, installation will be completed.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Time for a break.
Okay.